Have you ever wondered if that special someone is really interested in you? Pedro, with his own doubts and uncertainties, found himself facing that very question. When he met Anna, he noticed subtle signs that seemed to indicate something more. But how could he be sure she was truly into him? Each encounter brought new hints. A lingering smile, a casual touch, a conversation that went beyond the surface, and Pedro found himself increasingly intrigued. Female attraction is full of little mysteries, and Pedro, with each of Anna's gestures and glances, tried to decipher if these signs were real or if he was just seeing what he wanted to see. The story you're about to follow takes you along with Pedro on his journey, exploring the signs of interest and those moments that may or may not be indicators of attraction. Ready to find out with him what's really happening between the two? Then come along as we dive into every detail and uncover each of these signs. On their first date, Pedro was struck by Anna's gaze. She held eye contact longer than usual, sometimes smiling without saying a word. A shy smile that left an unmistakable hint of curiosity. Pedro felt that her glances said more than words ever could. After all, how else can you tell she's interested if not through eyes that seem to play and reveal just a little more than they should? As dinner went on, Anna occasionally crossed her arms, only to uncross them and lean closer whenever Pedro told a funny story. These were subtle gestures, but Pedro's mind was analyzing every one, trying to decipher signs of attraction. Could these movements really be signs of interest, or was he simply seeing things that weren't there? When their conversation shifted to personal topics, Anna seemed genuinely interested in learning more about him, asking questions and laughing at his stories. Sometimes she would touch his arm as she laughed. A light touch, but enough to make his heart race. Female attraction is like that, thought Pedro, a collection of gestures that reveal intentions without a single word. But was this touch a true sign she was interested? As the night drew to a close, Anna suggested they continue talking over coffee somewhere else. Feeling sure there was something between them, Pedro felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. Interpreting the signs she was sending was like putting together a puzzle. Some pieces fit, others didn't. But one thing was clear: he wanted to understand more about those signals and where they might lead. At their next date, Pedro noticed Anna didn't hold back with her casual touches. When they laughed together, it felt natural for her to lightly touch his shoulder or even hold his arm, as if she needed an anchor amid the fun. To Pedro, these gestures were increasingly clear as signs of interest. He wondered, almost in disbelief, if he could be seeing real signs of attraction. Anna maintained a certain closeness, often leaning her body toward his, and he watched, fascinated, as she tossed her hair to the side, as if drawing his gaze to her neck or to details that might go unnoticed by others. Pedro wasn't exactly an expert, but with each gesture, each touch, he felt that Anna's attraction was revealing itself a bit more. Were these gestures spontaneous, or were they true signs she was interested? As the evening grew quieter, Pedro noticed that Anna seemed even more relaxed, her gestures becoming more confident. At one point, she held his hand while telling a lively story, as if she needed his full attention. It was a brief touch, but one that made Pedro replay everything he'd ever read about how to know if she's interested. To him, that touch was worth 1,000 words. And so, Pedro allowed himself to go with the moment, thinking that maybe he didn't need anything more to understand the situation. Anna was showing her interest in many ways, but he still sensed there was something more to discover. Deep down, this was the best part, the mystery of what might come next. Over the next few days, Pedro and Anna exchanged several messages. He noticed that Anna always replied quickly, even when she seemed busy. She also used emojis, long laughs, and even affectionate expressions, as if wanting to keep the conversation light and engaging. For Pedro, this was a new way of seeing signs of interest. After all, was she really into him? There was an enthusiasm in each response that made it hard not to notice the attraction there. When they were together, Anna always kept the conversation flowing, asking about his life and showing genuine curiosity. She had a natural way of shifting to more personal topics, deepening the conversation. And Pedro, intrigued, wondered if this was how to tell if she was truly interested or if she was just a naturally engaging person. Each word seemed to carry intent, as if filling in the blanks of a story he barely knew where would end. On a more recent date, Anna brought up a specific detail from Pedro's past, something he'd mentioned briefly and never expected her to remember. This showed him a level of care and attention that was, without a doubt, a sign of passion. Anna truly listened to everything he said, and he realized that, unlike trivial conversations, there's always went beyond the surface, reaching more personal territory. But Pedro knew that verbal signs could be subtle, almost like codes hidden in compliments and indirect questions. With each date, he felt more inclined to reveal his own intentions, almost testing whether Anna would reciprocate. And deep down, he sensed there was much more to be said, something they were both somehow avoiding, but that seemed ready to emerge. By the fourth date, Pedro felt he'd already deciphered many of Anna's signs of interest. Yet he also feared he was seeing too much where there was only friendship. So he decided on a subtle test. He opened up a bit more, sharing something personal that required a level of trust. Anna listened closely and, to his surprise, she responded with something equally intimate. For Pedro, this was a clear indicator that she was interested. This moment of reciprocation was crucial. It seemed she wanted him to know she trusted him. During dinner, Anna casually mentioned how happy she was to be with him, looking into his eyes and letting slip a shy side smile. He realized that each of her words held a touch of intimacy that only develops with someone she's truly interested in. This was one of those signs of attraction that made him think he might already have all the answers he'd been seeking. As they said their goodbyes, Pedro decided to go a step further, holding her hand and watching her reaction. Anna didn't pull away. Instead, she kept her hand in his and smiled, as if hoping he'd understand what that meant. Female attraction can be hard to interpret, but Pedro felt there was nothing left to decode. The touch was clear, direct, and he knew his feelings were reciprocated. As they parted, Pedro realized he was living the end of his quest for signs. But more than that, he saw that a new chapter was just beginning. Now that he'd uncovered the signs, the true challenge would be understanding where it would all lead. And have you ever thought about attracting the woman you want just by texting? There's a secret all women keep to themselves. It's a mental trigger that lights up in their minds when you send a few specific messages. I teach all of this in an ebook, which I'm giving away as a gift in the first pinned comment of this video. It's not free because I put in the work, but it's almost free since the price is incredibly low, cheaper than a snack. Go grab your gift now.